Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. As we continue to celebrate Easter on this fifth Sunday of Easter, it would be good for us to think about our own resurrection, to the time when we can be with the resurrected Lord. For he is the way to the Father who is in heaven. However, chances are this time of year our minds are more on things like graduation, spring planting, baseball, maybe golf or tennis, and the coming summer vacation. There is a lot going on in the church, too. It has been that way since the very beginning. Today we hear about a case of discrimination against the Greek-speaking widows. The problem was quickly addressed and worked out by appointing 7 men as deacons, laying hands on them and praying for them, then letting them take care of the problem. Throughout the years, the church has addressed many problems. In the 1960s, during Vatican II, they put a big emphasis on a greater involvement of the laity in the church's ministries. Many lay people have been serving very well ever since. And this is true, of course, here at St. John Vianney and at Holy Family as well. Many have served for a long time, and of course, as time goes on, we need replacements. We have young people who are stepping up to do their part, such as Isaac, who does such a fine job at lecturing. But there is room for more. Don't be afraid to step up and help out. The Holy Spirit will help you. Jesus is counting on you to proclaim the gospel with your words and with your deeds. At an important milestone, such as a high school graduation, what am I called to do is a very big question. And the answer is often not all that clear. Here we can go to the gospel of today for help to get that answer. Jesus had just told his apostles that he would be betrayed by one of them, and that Peter, who was the strongest one of them all, would deny him not once but 3 times. They were understandably very upset and worried. And Jesus tells them, "Don't be afraid, and that I am going to the Father, and I will prepare a place for you, because in his house there are many dwelling places. And I will come and get you, so that where I am, you also may be. You know the way." Thomas responds, as if speaking for all the apostles, "Master, we don't know where you're going. How can we know the way?" Now they knew Jesus as a man and even as the Son of God, but as yet had not comprehended that he was also God himself. Therefore, didn't understand that he was the way to the Father. Now Thomas, you might say, was asking for a road map, and maybe where on that road map was the Father's house and all of these mansions located. So Jesus clarifies it for them. "I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me." In other words, I am the way by which you must go, and the truth to which you must come, and to the life in which you must abide. Jesus must have been thinking, "You poor dear men, you don't know this by now. Why have you been following me for all this time?" So he explained to them, "If you know me, you also know the Father." Now, have any of you ever had a day in which everyone around you seems to frustrate you? I'd like to see a show of hands. I hope I'm not the only one that's had a day or two like that. Well, it must have been like that for Jesus. For then, Philip comes up with a request to be shown Father. Like, "Lord, if the Father is within you, give us a special vision so that we can see him within you." They did not yet understand that he was consubstantial with the Father and shared the same essence and divinity with him. And Jesus said to Philip, "I just told you. If you know me, you know the Father. The Father and I are one. If you have seen me, you have seen the Father. And if you don't believe that, then believe by the works I do. Today's gospel ends with Jesus saying, "Whoever believes in me will do greater works than these." You young people who are very savvy and understand the latest technology, and for all people of all ages that are up in their technology information, it is easy for us to proclaim Jesus to the world, to explain to people our belief in him. Our society desperately needs to hear it. So don't be afraid to speak up on the internet, showing people or on Facebook that you are in fact a Christian, you are a believer in Jesus, and you hope to get to heaven someday, and we're all working toward that goal. But we must, of course, move on ahead to what is ahead of us here on earth, too, whether it is on to higher education, to entering the job force or the military, or getting married, or entering a seminary or a convent or whatever. But no matter which way we go or what our vocation is, remembering that Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life is vital for our salvation. Remember, we don't know the day or the hour when our journey on earth will be over. As we go through life, it is good also for us to enjoy life. Sports, theater, arts, attendance and participation in church liturgies and traveling and can all be of great value to build up our bodies and even enrich our minds, hearts, and souls. Last month, I was blessed to be part of a small group from our diocese to take a pilgrimage to Italy. Ron and Kathy Arons joined me, along with Father Tom Jennings and a couple from Laverne, Mike and Jennifer Ingzer. We traveled to Assisi and toured there, and Florence and Rome. The beautiful basilicas, the cathedrals, the museums, the art, and the huge crowds of pilgrimage from all over the world were all inspiring. And as you can imagine, the food and wine was great too. Our first night in Rome, we had dinner where our outside table was about 50 yards from where the Pope came out of a cathedral after having a Thanksgiving Mass for St. Jose de Anchieta, a brother who had famously worked for the poor in Brazil and who lived from 1534 to 1597. Pope Francis had canonized him on April the 3rd. So before we ate, we joined the crowd waiting for the Pope to come out. And we saw him briefly and joined the crowd cheering him, and then went to our table. As we were on our first course, the delegation from Brazil, about 20 of them, who had worked on the cause for St. Anchieta, joined us at our table and also at the table next to us. Now, we couldn't speak Portuguese, which is their language there in Brazil, but they spoke English quite well, so we had a great time conversing with them. Every day in Rome was packed with touring the sites, from St. Sebastian's catacombs to St. Peter's Basilica. So much beauty, so little time to see it all. On our last full day in Rome, we attended the canonization of Pope John the 23rd and Pope John Paul II. It was a great honor to be there. However, that turned out to be the most difficult part of the whole pilgrimage because of the sheer vastness of the crowd. But it also taught us, or taught me at least, a very important lesson that that we must not let's see. He taught me an important lesson that we might all think about. I must get rid of all my prejudice, false pride, selfishness, and desire for revenge. Treat others as I would treat Jesus himself, and not judge anyone who has done me wrong, but forgive them and yield to them and let them go ahead of me. Or I won't be worthy to enter into heaven, where an uncountable crowd will be praising God. Yes, I must follow Jesus, for he is the way, the truth, and the life.